Hi, everyone. Welcome to a special installment of GenYnot. We are hosting a conversation on gun violence as it relates to Black men and boys today with the organization Cities United. I am joined by the CEO, Anthony Smith, who is coming to us live from Kentucky. I'm also
Yes.
joined by Stanley Morgan, who is coming to us live from Philadelphia. I hear that's the city of brotherly and sisterly love, maybe?
Yeah.
And Justin Sims, who is coming to us from Birmingham, Alabama. Justin Sims works with Growing Kings. So first, to start off the conversation, I'll let you introduce yourself. So each of you can introduce yourselves, tell us where you're from, what is your role within Cities United. Let's start with Anthony.
Cool. Thank you all. Thank you, Jen, why not, for putting this on and pulling us together. And thank you all for your leadership. My name is Anthony Smith, and I'm the executive director for Cities United, the inaugural executive director. I'm the first one. We've been around, and I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, but we work with mayors across the country. So that's who I am, and I'm glad to be here.
Let's go to Stanley.
Hello, everyone. I am Stanley Morgan. I work with Power Core PHL. I'm assistant crew leader, and how I am connected with Cities United. Um, I was invited to a conference in Kentucky through my mayor's office, and I was able to link with Cities United through there and build a I'm in the process of building a relationship. I'm building a relationship with Anthony and Erica right now to figure out how I can, be helpful with this work that we're doing out here in the community.
Can you explain to us what Power Core is?
So Power Core is like a re-entry based program in Philadelphia. What we do is we help transition um, males and females that were incarcerated, and we equip them with a skill set that would take them into the workforce, into the work field. You know what I mean? So we do all types of things around the city. As far as like, we mainly do invasive removals, which is like removing any non-native plant that is that's growing all around our city. And what we do is we try to allow our native plants to grow healthy without suffocating through the invasives that are growing around the city. So we try to help with our the beautification of our city.
Awesome, awesome. Justin, tell us who you are, where you're from, and explain to us what Growing Kings is and what Growing Kings does in the city of Birmingham.
Still can't hear me?
Got you.
We can hear you loud and
Oh,
clear.
okay. I was just checking to see if you guys. I didn't know if you could hear me or not. I'm sorry. I thought I
We
was
can
on
hear
mute or
you.
something. Hey, everybody. My name is Justin Sims from Birmingham, Alabama. I've been working with Growing Kings probably the last 4 or 5 years. Again, I'm the program manager. So in Birmingham, we work with. Right now, we're working with 2 feeder paths. We were working with 1 feeder path, primarily the worst feeder path in the school. So that's 1 high school, 2 middle schools, and 3 elementary schools that feed into them. On the elementary level, we do literacy development with the young men, only working with 4th and 5th graders. Um, when we go into the schools, the first thing we do is affirmation. Weekly, we do affirmation with the young men, making them introduce themselves, making them just give a full statement. How was your weekend? What did you do? Not something that's non-repetitive that they're doing. Nothing. I was at grandma's house. I had a football game. We don't allow them to repeat themselves. Uh, Really, again, just getting them a chance to introduce themselves in public. Out loud into a group of people. With the elementary students, we'll give them all the subscription of Time for Kids. I apologize. Sports Illustrated for Kids, and National Geographics for kids. They all can take the books home, read them, do whatever they want to do with the books. We make them read out loud in a safe environment. Cool, kind of getting them, let them know it's cool to read outside of school everyday academia. We also do NBA math hoops. It's been great with just helping the young men with everyday math skills. Rolling over to the middle school level, a lot of character development, building the total man on the middle school level. We also use NBA math hoops on that level as well, though, because we all know African American males are behind in the STEM field. So we really try to help push anything we can as far as exposing the young men and helping them out academically. Just going over to the high school level, college readiness, workforce development, getting them ready for the real world, whatever field they're going to go in, whether it be military, whether it be trade, or college, if the young men, depending on if they decide to go to college, whatever it is they want to do, we try to support them and make sure we have all resources in place to help them out.
Awesome. And shout out to NBA. I've heard you talk about NBA math hoops. NBA math hoops, one of my friends, actually, Khalil Fuller, was the founder, and he started it when he was in college. So NBA math hoops is a program.
Cool. Shout out to Khalil.
Shout out to Khalil. It's a dope program that they've created this awesome curriculum that connects to NBA, basketball, physics, so using the math in the sports to teach kids a better way to relate to math in school. So it's dope. So I want to get into Cities United, and I want to go to Anthony. And can you tell us, what is Cities United? How many mayors do you have signed on to this initiative? What's the goal? And tell us more about your collaborations with cities.
Oh, absolutely. So Cities United was started in 2011 by Mayor Nutter and Mayor Landrews, when Mayor Nutter was mayor of Philadelphia and Mayor Landrews is out of New Orleans. They came together with Mayor Dr. Bell out of the Casey Family Programs and really started thinking about how can mayors make a difference when it comes to homicide rates of African American men and boys. If you know anything about Philly and if you know anything about New Orleans, their homicide rates are always at an alarming rate. And they really wanted to come together and say, mayors, we are CEOs of our cities, we are the leaders of our cities. What can we do and how do we build a collaboration locally, but then also on a national level to really start seeing the reduction in homicides of African American men and boys? Our goals are real simple. We want to cut the rate by 50% by 2025 across the country, so we want to save lives. We got about 80 mayors signed on so far, and that number is constantly growing. And our collaborations are really kind of key. It really is working with, our goal is to make sure that mayors understand that they got to have a holistic collaboration where it's not just government. They got to have a policy game, but they also got to be able to have a ground game. And that means making sure that they have young people's voices inside the conversation, especially young people who are most impacted by the issue. So when we come into a city, we really want to make sure that the mayor, whoever it is on that team, has a collective voice at the table where they're really working with a lot of different people and not just trying to do a top-down game, but they really are doing it across the board. So, you know, we are constantly growing. I came on in November of last year and have been a part of the team as the new ED since November. But I used to work for Mayor Fisher here locally in Louisville, and part of what we did and what we're trying to do across the country really is like bringing all of the different sectors together who need to be at the table so that we can really find some real solutions to this issue, right? Because it's not a new issue that we've been dealing with as a country, but I think the new thing is that we've got a collective of people really thinking about it. And another thing about Cities United is we're real clear about the who and who we're working with and for. We know we're trying to save young black men and boys, but we know we got to work with families and those communities, so we're really pushing that. So that's where we are right now, and our goal, like I said, is to reduce homicides by 50% by 2025, and then also to work with about 500 mayors throughout that process across the country.
So what are some of the cities, can you name off some of the cities that are currently on board?
Wow, yeah, so we've got, and I'll start with Louisville because that's where I'm at. We've got Louisville, Lexington, Gary, Indiana, Indianapolis, Philly, Birmingham, where we're all going to be at next week. We've got Long Beach, California, Seattle, Washington, Portland, Oregon, Las Vegas, Nevada, Minneapolis, and there's just all over. A couple of cities that we don't have that I'm reaching out to right now is Detroit and Atlanta because I think they need to be at the table. And we're also working with the African American Mayors Association, who has like 49 mayors from big, small, and large cities, big, small, and rural cities, who we also think need to be in the conversation. So if you think about a small city in South Carolina called Holly Hill, I think they've got about 15,000 people. But having that mayor at the table is important because all of our cities are dealing with this in different ways. We scan northwest, east, south, and pick up a lot of the cities in the middle of the country as well.
That's awesome. That's important. I like how you talked about the importance of making sure that the rural communities are at the table, because oftentimes when we
Absolutely.
have these big initiatives nationwide, we forget the folks in the rural communities, which, if you got a 15,000 person town, you're important as well. Your life matters as well. So,
Absolutely, and I think we also forget that a lot of us still live in those small countries. I mean, those small cities, right? Black folks are still in those small cities, especially when you think about the South, kind of heavy. And if we're not paying attention and not spending time in it, I think we miss out on the conversation. To your point, Jordan.
exactly. What makes Cities United different from other organizations or collaborations?
I think it's the focus, really being focused on. So what I'm really trying to get cities to understand is that we can do a lot of different programmatic stuff. We can mentor. We can make sure kids learn how to read on grade level by third grade. We can make sure that they're kindergarten ready. We can do all of that stuff. But there's still a group of young people who are already out, young people who we believe are either going to be a perpetrator or going to be a victim. And none of us really know how to get to them, or we don't all do it well. So I think we're really clear on the population of young people we're looking for and we're trying to address. And then we're also real clear on how we've got to do that, and there's got to be a collective. So I think Cities United, the difference is that we work with mayors across the country, but we also know that mayors can't do this alone. But then we're also real clear about who we're trying to engage, and then we're also looking at this from a asset approach, right? Because we want people to value and see young black men and boys as assets and not as a burden and not as something that we can just throw away like we've been doing for years.
All right, so you talk about the importance of bringing youth at the table. One thing that we know as young people, I'm speaking to the other young people here in the chat, but one thing that we know as young people is that often for a lot of these big initiatives and these organizations that say that, youth are important, we're doing this work for young people, for young men, for young girls, but oftentimes we are on the menu but not at the table. So how can youth work with local government to make an impact? How does that happen? How do we realize that? And I'll start with
Yeah.
Anthony, and then I definitely want to hear from, I want Justin and Stanley to come in on this as well.
Yeah, and I would just say be real clear, just it's real short for me. We've got to make sure that mayors are intentional. So part of our job is holding them accountable. So when we go to a city, I don't want to just sit down and talk to the mayor. I want to know what young people do you have at the table, and then I want to also know where these young people come from and where they live. So for us, it's real clear. And then the team that I'm with is also very youth engaged. We think about young people where we go, so we go out in cities and engage young people as well. But we really want them to be connected to the mayor's office because that's where the change is going to really, part of the big change is going to happen is if they're in there. So we're just really intentional about it and ask a lot of questions and hold people accountable.
All right, let's hear from Stanley or Justin. One of you guys jump in.
Okay, could you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, so how can youth work with local government to make an impact on social change? What do you think about that? Do you have relationships with your local government currently right now? Did you growing up? Did you always? Was it through a nonprofit organization? Was it through school? How can young people really be important stakeholders for local government?
So no, to answer one of the questions, I never had a relationship with my local government or anything. It was always you know, we all review the government, police, everybody as, not good people. You know what I mean? So, but over the last couple of years, I've learned how, to gain and sustain healthy relationships with government officials, and that's by being in this program that I'm in right now, Power Corps and them allowing me to have exposure to government, to government officials, and allowing some of my viewpoints to be heard in some of these circles, some of these discussions that are being discussed around our cities. And yes, so Power Core allowed me to introduce me into that light right there, because we always having some type of functions where certain politicians are there, and we're able to engage and be able to ask questions, and we able to give our feedback on some of our views and some of the things that we see in the city. You know what I mean? They also have a youth commission here that's out of the mayor's office that that's doing pretty well. You know what I mean? I feel as though that some of the issues that are being raised in these youth commission meetings are being some of the issues that are being raised are being looked at. You know what I mean? And I feel like in my city that that some of the youth do have a voice now. You know what I mean? Opposed to how it was back in the day. You know what I mean? I feel as though that I'm starting to see some type of change. Now I'm starting to feel like that the youth here in Philadelphia are starting to be heard a little bit more because of the youth commission and because of these events that they have where the youth and politicians are actually being engaged and actually having discussions, and it's not no real barriers between us. You know what I mean?
And awesome. That's awesome. I want to uplift the fact that Jamira, my co-host, co-founder from Philly, she's the former executive director of the Philly Youth Commission. So
Right.
She probably hurt me really bad if I didn't, shout her out a little bit on that. All right, Justin, tell us about you and local government. How can youth work with local government? How do they do it in Birmingham, or how can they do it in Birmingham?
Okay, I think the first thing is I think that the youth have to participate and pay attention to what's going on first. We got to do our part of being in the knowing. Think you asked me about Birmingham, but just I'm just thinking about it on the whole scale, from the small cities all the way to larger cities. Smaller cities have coalitions or organizations for kids to develop leadership. Cities like Birmingham have whole divisions dedicated just to youth services, where they work with the youth throughout the whole year. None of this can work from the governmental standpoint if we don't participate as youth, if we don't come to the table as youth, as leaders, saying what we need, saying what we want, voicing our opinion. We can't come at them, aggressively or with demands. But again, we gotta show up. That's the biggest thing that I'm saying. We gotta show up, and we can't just show up in small numbers. If past the kiddie level, the grade school 12 to 18-year-old student that probably could participate in the younger events that the local governments have. You think about college age students or young adults. Again, this again comes into taking part in local government, taking part in local organizations like your urban leagues or your young professional groups, your whatever civic organizations are doing their thing in the city. I don't know what city has what, but each city has some type of young adult, some type of civic organization where you can rub elbows with government leaders. And again, just infiltrate the circles, do whatever you can to find out, hey, when are you guys having a meeting? Do you guys need help? What is it that I can do? That way, again, people, they start, you build a rapport, you build a trust, and eventually, again, like I said, your word will start to hold weight.
So specifically, we're talking about reducing violence and gun violence as it relates to black men and boys. So why is it important to bring young men to the table when we talk about solutions for that?
Mainly because the young boys we're the violent ones. Just to be frank about it, young boys are coming up and they don't think they have an opinion. They don't think their voice matters. So
Right.
the quicker you bring them in, the quicker you start cultivating and let them know, hey, you guys, your voice does matter. Hey, you guys are a leader. What you say matters. Your voice counts. Your opinion counts. A lot of times we don't know that our opinion counts. So you got to think about what's happening in the school. As soon as boys act like boys, you know, it's unfortunate there's not a lot of males in the classroom, but as soon as a boy acts out or acts passionately or does whatever he does, he's shushed or he's told to be quiet. So he's never really taught. Most boys are never really taught how to express themselves. So until we give them the proper opportunity, which again is bringing them to the table, allowing them to see, hey, this is how you act in a professional setting. This is how you act at a meeting. This is how you. This is proper protocol. This is what we do day to day. Until that happens, until they see that, until they breathe that, until they learn that, it's not going to happen overnight.
Right. Workshops. Seriously, like professional, just learning how to, because that's valuable. Like I was working at the stores today, just to share a little bit. I'm working with a group of young men today from this organization called Youth Build. You know what I mean? And they come out ready to work, but like I believe if they were properly prepared to step into that setting that we were at today, like we were at the farm, and you have to. I mean, you're required to act a certain way, and you're required to do certain things while you're at the farm working with us, and carry yourself a certain way. And I believe that if they had like some type of workshop or something in place where you can like teach them like the proper way to conduct yourself when when you're in public or when you're entertaining a certain crowd, you know what I mean? I think that's valuable in society today, because a lot of people a lot of people are doing good things out here, but don't know how to conduct themselves in the midst of doing these things. You know what I mean? And I think that's important.
All right, you want to go? You got something else to add, Anthony?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think one of the reasons it's important for me is because that's where the solutions are, right? I think having young men at the table with you, helping you, especially young men who have lived in that lifestyle or close to that lifestyle, because it helps you find the solutions to the issues, right? Because I think sometimes we in government or we inside of big organizations are so far removed from it that if we don't keep young people who are connected to it around us, then we're going to come up with solutions and ideas that are not going to get us anywhere. So for me, it's more that I learn from them about what we should be doing, and the rest of it will come, right? Because I think to Justice Stanley's point, I think we've got to help our young men get to a better place. But I think all of that comes in time by seeing that there's a better place to get to, right? Because right now, a lot of our young men don't even see that option or think about that option. So our job is so when I started working for Mayor Fisher, one of the things I said to him is that I said, every chance I get to have a meeting in the office, I'm bringing young black men to your office, right? So that they can sit in your chair, they can be in this space, because a lot of them just don't come to City Hall. So I think that's what our job is when we get in these roles and we get in these spaces. One, we got to stay connected to the young men who we say we're working for and with. But then two, we also got to bring them into the space as well so that they see all of the possibilities of what they could be and what they can do. So that's why I think it's important to have young men and women at the table when you're dealing with issues like this.
Yep.
And just like you said, like young people are experts of their experiences, and I think it's easy for us to, sit around a table or create an organization and say that we want to focus on a certain solution, but don't have the people that we want to impact in the lives that we want to impact at the table telling us how do we do it, what should we do, what we need to focus on. Like if you're impacted by violence every day, whether that means that someone in your family was killed, whether that means that you did the killing, if you were the victim or the perpetrator, like you need to be at the table when it comes to solutions, and young people can present that and local government needs to understand that.
Yeah, you got to understand that and respect that and give space to it and allow it to be what it is, and instead of trying to mold it into a certain way, just let it be real. We had this young guy who served 10 years for attempted murder, right? And he came out and I was talking about some of the programmatic stuff we were doing. He's like, and I told him about this one program. I said, would you join that? And he said, no, man, that's stupid. He said that's why you don't have people come into it because it makes no sense. So we had to revamp that whole thing because he knows that better than I do, right? So it's like, okay, I need you to influence it. So having those kind of folks, having folks who are in the midst of it around you while they're trying to figure out how to get to a different place, it's very helpful in solution making for me.
Exactly. What do you think some of the barriers to that are? Because I'm sure you have a lot of times when you have these top down approaches for solutions, especially on social issues and social impact across the board, you have people that are uncomfortable on the top bringing in the people that they work for. And because whether it's like, if they come from different worlds, it's like lack of education, or they don't really know. What are the barriers to that, and how do you get over that and understand and get them to understand that mechanisms need to be created in order to have certain groups and certain demographics at the table?
Is that for me or the other cats? You want me to go?
I want you to answer that.
Okay. So I think some of the barriers, I think it goes both ways, right? I think sometimes the way you described it, I think we get in roles and we believe we know all the answers, especially some of us who, black folks who get in roles, we believe we've lived it, so we know it. And a lot of us are still close to it. We still have family members, that are real close to us who are living those lifestyles. But we get to a certain place when we got degrees and position and we forget that we've been away from that lifestyle or disconnected from it for a while, but we still think we know all, right? And then I think if you think about trying to pull folks in, they don't trust government, right? They don't trust you because you show up suited and booted, so therefore you boozy, you don't know anything. So I think it goes both ways. So it's kind of you got to figure out how to build authentic relationships. And I think what government's got to do better is they got to pull folks up who have been through that, right? Who have a reputation on the street as a community organizer or activist, but who can also come inside and do work inside of government. Because my background is community organizing, youth development. So I know a lot of different people that I can just maneuver in all these different cycles and all these different worlds where I can be in the park one day and I can be in the boardroom the next day. But I don't think all of us are comfortable in those spaces, and we've got to figure out how to help both sides be comfortable. And I think to your point earlier, Jordan, is that everybody knows their own situation. So I would rather listen to somebody who's living it than listen to somebody who's written a best practice or a book about it and don't know anything about it. So I just think, those barriers are those things that we put up in our own heads around who we're supposed to work with based on the degrees and titles and who we're not supposed to work with. But I think community members do the same thing, as they distrust everybody in government and don't give some people in government a chance to be helpful.
So true, so true. All right, I want to bring Stanley and Justin. I want Stanley and Justin to comment on this. What are some of the misconceptions? What do you think the misconceptions that adults have about both of you? What do you want them to understand about who you are as an individual and you being a stakeholder in this issue?
Okay. I want people to understand. I want adults to understand that, that I want to be a part of this fight too. Like, I have my struggles, my things that have challenges that all of us have as human beings. But like, I feel as though, I just want to be a part of this great movement, like to help my people. Like, I just want those that are in position that that know my passion and know how genuine I am with this work to just give me a chance and to help and to guide me in the way that I'm gonna need. Because I am a voice for my people. Like, I don't live this life. I'm going through some of the challenges that some of my brothers and sisters are going through right now. And I just want that chance to to show people, to show my peers that, like, look, yeah, I understand what you're going through, but if you give this a chance, there's so many possibilities, there's so many changes that can happen if you did give this a chance. And coming from a person like me, you know what I mean, I believe that my influences will be great to society, to my community. You know what I mean, because I am them. You know what I mean? I'm living the same life. I mean, similar life that they're living. I mean, some of the same challenges, some of the same everything. You know what I mean? But it's just like, look, it's no need, it's no time to stop. We always got to keep going. Like, yeah, we're gonna fall. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna need that support from my brothers and sisters, from my elders. I mean, to continue to thrive. And I just think that, I mean, if we can provide that right support like we're doing now, like Anthony, like I call Anthony all the time. Like, I mean, if I got a problem, if I'm going through something, I shoot him a text. Like, I think that, I mean, I think that's valuable for those that are in position and that we're seeing, that we look up to be there, to allow themselves to be there for us. And I know that, like, everybody can't just, I mean, everybody's not gonna just give everybody a number and everything, but I think that that type of support is much needed, and I appreciate that support. And I think that, I mean, every young people like myself that are trying to, you know what I mean, make a difference, but just need the right guidance and need, I mean, some type of help getting there. You know what I mean?
Thanks for that. Thanks for sharing. No,
it's
speak for as long as you want or until I cut you off, but you're good. Justin, jump in on that and give me your thoughts.
Are you referring to me personally or just our generation?
I'm referring to you personally. You can speak. You're allowed to speak for yourself.
Well, I'll say, with me personally, as far as the older generations, I think it is. We talked about it at past conferences that we've been to. It is time for them, I feel, to pass the baton to millennials. For me personally, I'm 26 years old. I'll be 27 at the end of next week. So it's like I understand that. Yeah, I'm young, or he's like, yeah, he's a child still in most people's mind. But as far as the youth engagement, I've been doing this for 6 years. This has been a career for me, almost to a point of, well, I'm getting ready to change careers. It's for some people it would be a middle standpoint. I'm still going strong. Not where I'm getting ready to change careers. Where others would have changed careers after so long. This is where I am. This is where I'm planted at. So, I've had a lot of ups and downs again. So I understand the field, and I want to be able to collaborate. I want to feel like I'm able to ask questions. I want to feel like I have a support system and a network. Currently I don't feel like I have that. Again, and I don't think it's because of anyone's feeling like he's a bad guy or he's not doing what he said he's doing. I think it's solely, it is an age thing. I think like I said, some of the older generations really are happy where they are and really want to hold on to certain positions. But I think innovation is needed. It's so many of us millennials right now. It's so many of us, and everything is changing with everyday innovation, with everyday life, with technology. So much is changing, and I think that we need new leadership all across the board, not just locally in my city. I think all across the country, all across the globe, we need new leadership. We need new understanding. We need new ways to communicate and understand one another.
Awesome. Thanks for that. So I want to head to the upcoming convening in Birmingham. We will all be in Birmingham next week. Anthony had said that his birthday was next week, just so that he can ensure that there was cake.
What day next week?
And he probably likes chocolate cake. Probably.
I don't know anybody who don't like chocolate cake.
Shout out to Joy.
So I think he was putting that out there because I think that he was making that an expectation. So I want to talk about the convening next week. What are the main themes for this convening? I know I can say some of them: justice reform, trauma-informed solutions, workforce development. How did you pick those themes? How were those themes picked?
Wow. So, we've been planning the convening pretty much since last year's convening, but we really got heavy into it late December, early January. So we really talked to the city leads and city folks across the country. And then we also talked to young folks, and just really trying to get a feel for what everybody was working with and grappling with. And really want to make sure that when we bring folks to a convening that they're leaving with some tools and resources that are going to be helpful. So we really hit the ground. Erica Atwood did a lot of calls with young people and really was trying to figure out. I think we even you all did a retreat in Alabama. So I think some of that stuff is coming out of there when we start thinking about the trauma-informed care. And then a lot of it is we've created this new space at the convening where it's just going to be this room. It's like a breakout room where folks can go meditate and just be, because we know a whole lot of stuff is triggered at this convenience when we're talking about this issue. Because again, none of us are disconnected from it. So we wanted to have a safe space where people who are attending the convening can just go in this room, meditate for a little bit, and reground themselves. So it really just came through conversations with people on the ground, what they need and what they want. And we wanted to make sure we brought the right experts in the room to make sure we covered all of that.
Awesome. All right, really quickly, we are wrapping up, so I do want to get everybody's opinion on what do you hope to accomplish at the conference. Let's start with Justin, then we'll go to Stanley, and then we'll have Anthony close it out.
I hope we can get some kind of cohesiveness going between the cities. Would it be between all cities? Would it just be between cities in a certain metropolitan area or a certain state or region? I just want to see us be able to get people on the same page. That's my goal as far as government goes. As far as the youth that's there and other millennials, I'll say for me personally, I hope that we as far as the leaders, as far as the youth leaders for Cities United, I hope that we did a good job for the youth that's coming in. My life has changed holistically since I attended my first Cities United convening last year. So I hope that leadership is sparked. I hope innovation is sparked. I hope something is sparked in you, something changes you, will make you want to go back home and just do something great. Well, that's all.
It was well said, brother. As for me, I'm just hoping to gain just some more leadership skills. You know what I mean? I want to know how to be, a more effective leader in my community. You know what I mean? I want to know what's going on in other cities. You know what I mean? And give my input on how certain issues that are going on in other cities and how that looks in our city and what we did to change how that looks in other cities in our city. You know what I mean? I just want to be able to give a helping hand. You know what I mean? I want to be able to gain some friends. I mean, in other cities. I mean, I just want to be able to form this network of dope people. Like I've been meeting for a year now. Like since I joined this type of work, and since I've been giving this type of work my all, it's just like nothing but great blessings. You know what I mean? Everybody I've been coming in contact with has just been dope. You know what I mean? And I'm just excited to be in that atmosphere again. You know what I mean? Just soak it all in and give it out. You know what I mean? That's basically it.
Well, so I think mine are pretty similar too, man. It's just, because for me, this work don't get done without strong relationships with people you can trust and people who will hold you down, right? Because, Stanley talks about texting me, but when he sends those texts, it helps make my day go better. It makes me understand why we do this work and what we're going on. So for me, convenings and gatherings are always about building those relationships so that you get more, so that you can have a network of folks who you can rely on and call on. But I really do, for me, I want people to lead with a sense of urgency. Because if you all paid attention to the news like I did, 2015 was a crazy year for homicides across the country. So when we finally get that data and analyze that data, we're going to understand that there's a lot of work to do. We've got to figure out why this is happening, what's going on. So I want people to lead with a sense of urgency but also looking to, like somebody talked about innovation, looking to do this thing differently, right? Let's think about, we've tried all of these ways before. What can we do different that's going to really have an impact? And I think it really is having a ground game, having a policy game, and figuring out how to pull both of those together so that we can have young people leading the way on the ground and in the city hall. But also, you know, you got folks coming from city hall into the community really working hand in hand. So for me, there's a sense of urgency, but there's also a sense of cohesiveness and partnership and relationship building that should take place there. Because when I first came to my first Cities United convening in New Orleans a couple of years ago, I left with I don't know how many new friends and comrades that I can call on and say, I'm dealing with this, and they were able to help me figure some stuff out, right? So I think for me, I just want folks to go focused and really let's close out. Let's make sure that we have a safe summer, but then also we really are doing things differently when we go home.
All right, so I'm really looking forward to being in Birmingham. Justin is going to have to show us around.
Yes.
Is there lots of things to do, like socially, in Birmingham, Justin?
Gotcha.
All right, so how can individuals... so much to do, so much to do, I'm sure. I'm just messing with you. I'm excited to be in your city again. We had a good time when we were there for the retreat. And we will be having a Millennial Lounge, so that I'm pretty excited about that. We definitely have time that we have allocated and spaces that we've allocated for the young people to connect with each other. So we'll have some young people who this is their first conference that they've ever gone to. And there's specific workshops for them, helping them learn about how they can build relationships with their mayor's office and local government. So I'm really excited about that. Really excited about, you know, shifting that paradigm in their thinking for how can government work for them and how, you know, we can build relationships, just like you said. I mean, this will be my second Cities United convening, and the last one was amazing as well. So how can individuals or organizations get engaged with Cities United, Anthony?
Well, shoot, they can check us out on our website, citiesunited.org, and we've got a Join Cities United. I think there's a tab that says Join Cities United. Folks can go there, and they'll send us information, and we'll get back in contact with them. What we try to do is have cities go through their mayor's office because we want this to be a mayor's-led initiative, because that's where the money's at, that's where the policies are at. So we want to make sure that people are working in partnership with their mayors. So that's what we'll push folks back to. But it's real easy. It's not a whole lot to join Cities United. We're just asking folks to be about the work and be committed to it. You know, we're also keeping some young people over in Birmingham. I think we're going to spend some time at the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute with some young folks to continue to build those national networks and build young people up. Because one of the things Stanley said when he met me, him and Quaniqua from Louisville hit me up and said, how can you all keep the young people together? So me and Sean Dove from the Campaign for Black Male Achievement are trying to figure out how do we connect young people across all these cities together on a regular basis, not just when we do our convenings, but how do we do more of these Google Hangouts? How do we do regional convenings? And how do we just bring folks together so that you all can build that power that Justin was talking about? Because you guys are next. We got to move out of the way sooner or later, so y'all got to have it. So I know that was a long answer to what you asked me, but
no, you're good. You're good. We're not only next. We're now. We're now, Anthony.
There you go. You're absolutely right.
Now.
My bad. Thanks for that correction.
So we're now. We're happening right now. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for this awesome session. Thank you for sharing your perspectives. Thank you, Anthony, for telling us about Cities United. And if anyone's watching that wants to get involved with Cities United, you heard them. Go to the website, citiesunited.org. And I cannot wait to be there in Birmingham next week.
Yeah.
Thank you all. It's been great.
Thank you.
All right.